So today, I want us to talk about or discuss about our thoughts. Often during interaction, Dr. Greg also talks about it. We talk about stinking thinking because through this teaching we know that our thoughts are very important, that our thoughts are creative, and the earlier we got to know how to get rid of stinking thinking, the better the outcome of our creations. We're able to create what we want. So we'll talk about briefly about this stinking thinking, and we know that after this lesson, we'll have additional ways of getting rid of this stinking thinking, and we'll be able to control our creations. So I'll start the lesson, getting rid of stinking thinking. And this, like I said, it's something we always hear. Dr. Greg or some of us also use that word stinking thinking, and how it affects our total well-being. Our thoughts, as we know, are learning, as we know, and we are learning through the classes, are great instruments, tools for creation. Yes, our thoughts, what we think, every thought that we think, they're very powerful because the outcome of those thoughts are very creative. In this teaching, you will often hear the teachers say, our thoughts are things. Our thoughts are things. We also know that in life, we are always creating actively or passively. Since we know we are active participants in this process of life, you can either be active and take control of your thoughts, or passive and just let things roll by. Either way, you are creating, because there's no vacuum. Something is definitely happening, whether you're being active or passive about it. And we are one thing through this teaching and what we learn to be active, because we are active participants in this process of life. We create with our thoughts, with our declarations, with our actions all the time. It starts with the thoughts, always. You know, we create with those things, with our actions, with what we say, with what we declare, with our actions, always. And we know also that we pay such a huge price for negative and or stinking thinking, untrained thoughts, because it will take us down. We go into a roller coaster, downward roller coaster, to dark areas where we do not want to be. That is what stinking thinking will do. One of the great statements by Ernest Holmes was that there is power for good. And not just that there is power for good, you have access to it and you can use it. There is power for good available to everyone. Infinite power for good. And it's available to you, it's available to me. And we can use it. And one good thing about our meetings, our classes, is that we teach you how to make use of this power, principally for your own good, because when it works out for your own good, you can affect others around you for good. So we learn here that this power responds to each and every one of us. The power is there. One of its functions is to respond to you. So when you speak, the universe responds. It responds to you. It's a universal law. If you don't, whatever you allow response is there to respond to you. So we want to get smart and know that our thoughts are seed. So what does that mean? If you have good thoughts, prosperous thoughts, then you give it room to expand. Then if you have those thoughts that are not good, you look for how to nip it in the bud as quickly as possible. Because the thoughts are seed, they can grow if we feed it. If you think you are undeserving of anything good, if you think you're undeserving of jobs, if you think you're deserving of friendship, health, prosperity, this way of thinking will ultimately cause you to fail. It's a thought, and we always say it's a thought can be changed. If you don't recognize that and change it on time and feed those bad thoughts, the eventual outcome is failure. It's a bad way of thinking that makes you believe you would fail. If you think terrible things are coming your way or that you are not a good person, you know what? Then life responds to that thought. It responds to every thought that you think. And we also knowing that nobody's out to get anyone. Nobody's out to get you. You're a complete being. Nobody's out to get you. It's only the thoughts that you think that the universe responds to. It does what it does, period. It's only when you place the seed in the hands of the universe, it responds to what you've sown. It responds. Its function is to respond to your thought. So we want to check ourselves in quiet moments, day or night, whenever we have the calmness, and take the time and check what we habitually are processing, what we are habitually thinking about. We talk about those habitual negative thoughts, those critical thoughts. They will lead to emotional distress, self-doubt, and unhealthy behavior. There's some things, forgotten what they call it in science, nursing, or medicine. I think idiopathic sicknesses, sicknesses that you have and there are no traces to the causes. Those things can result from such thoughts. And if you don't find a way to redirect them, you are likely to become fearful. It builds up. Like I said, it's a seed that grows. If you keep giving it the nutrients it requires, watching things that are fearful, hearing things that are fearful, all this, you're feeding it, it's growing, you're giving it all the best nutrients that it can need to grow. And it keeps growing. You become fearful, you become anxious, you're down, you're depressed, you're apathetic. It may even affect your signs and symptoms. I mean, they check your blood pressure, it's high. They check your temperature, it's high. And they do a blood test and no bacteria, no infection, nothing. Because of negative thoughts. You see, life is always here for you, but we have to feed what we want to see into it. Life is urging you to expand and grow, but we get stuck and we resist this flow of life. The desires of the universe, we know, is for us to be happy, joyous, and free. These are the thoughts of God, the thoughts of this creative intelligence for us. To be happy, joyous, and free. To be expansive, to be prosperous. To have a sound mind, to be healthy. And we train ourselves to look away from the conditions that won't offer of this. And to know that there is greater reality always available to us. It's a 24-hour service, 7 days a week. The thoughts I have for you are thoughts of good, not of bad, to give you a future and expected end. You have a sound mind to be prosperous. Whatever you set your heart and your mind to do, you would prosper, you will excel. That is the thought of God, thoughts of the universe for us. They are thoughts of peace, love, abundance, not of worry, not of ill health, not of lack. And sometimes we hear people say, you got this. Yes, you got it. You can do it. You can actually be able to note those thoughts when they come, and with your declaration, just nip it in the bud. I'm going to suffocate these thoughts because I know the outcome is not what I want. It won't get me to where I want to go to. So you can tell yourself, I got this, I can do this. I've done it before, and I'll do it again. You do it, you have everything you need. You are absolutely one with it. Absolutely, absolutely one with it. You live in it, you move in it, you have your being in it, your whole existence is in it. We are one with the process of life. We are one with creative intelligence. And because we know we are one with creative intelligence, we have incredible power to renew and to change. I mean, we don't have to wait for a particular time to effect anything or to gain access to it. It's there available. No time, no space. Like we hear Dr. Greg often says, a journey without a distance. Anytime you call on it, it responds. The response is available. It's abundant. It's infinite. The universe has more than enough for everyone. We have incredible power, like I said, to renew and to change. And it doesn't matter if you have been messing up your life for years. You can decide today. Today, you can decide now. We always talk about the power of the being in the moment. We can decide today. You really can decide to do everything differently. Like I said, it's just a decision to make. It's just a thought. And those thoughts, you can decide, the best way it works for you. You can go into a place and speak to your being. I do not want these things in my life and my situation again. And today, I refuse to feed every negative thought that will yield these negative outcomes. You refuse it, to resist it with every iota of your being. And you know what? The universe will respond. And as you speak it and act it and feed it, it will grow. Remember, we've had lessons here about divine timing, divine order of things. It happens in time. And like I said again, the creative intelligence is going to respond to you. So imagine, for me, sometimes I put things on the wall. It responds to me. So imagine that, having it on your wall, on your mirror. Anytime you wake up to look at yourself, you just know it responds to me. Remind yourself that the universe responds to every thought that you think. And you have the power to channel those thoughts. So it responds is a powerful statement, is a powerful truth that we know. It responds to you. It doesn't matter any time when you call it, it will respond. It doesn't get weary, it doesn't get tired. It's not overlogged with your request or whatever you say. It's not. It doesn't keep track of your events. It just responds. My goodness, why would we hang on to the negatives when the whole world is waiting for us to lift ourselves up? When you lift yourself up in consciousness, you are helping the world at large. We are lifters. We are here to lift ourselves up in different ways. By the time you talk about your demonstrations, I am lifted. If he or she could do it, then I can do it. I got this. I'm encouraged. In this teaching, we learn to lift ourselves up high. And the more we do it, we will transform everything. Like you all hear us say, it's process, it's work. And we will do the work. When we slip into fear and a sense of separation, then we've forgotten that all is okay. Remember, when we say all is well, we are not saying that you won't have challenges. We are not saying there won't be difficulties. We are not saying there won't be hurdles to jump. But we are knowing that in spite of this, all is well, because we know that the thoughts of God for us are for good. And in any of these processes, the eventual outcome, once we keep ourselves focused, it's good. We learn from every experience. So all is well, all is okay is a powerful declaration, trust in the process, in universe, that everything is working out for our good, for my own good. Like we say, in this situation, only good, not some good, only good will be the outcome. And it happens to all of us, not for some. If we apply the principles, we get the result. It's not a respecter of persons. If you apply the principles of prosperity, you'll see it play out in your situation. If you apply these principles, you will see the result. Like I said, it's no respecter of individuals. It's important to have all kinds of tools available to you so that you don't stay in those places long. Yes, we are in this life. We say we are physical beings, we are spiritual beings inhabiting a physical body. Yeah, things happen. But we're knowing that when things happen, you know that's not your destination. You're just passing through it, just a phase. And you do that, go through that phase as quickly as possible. Like I said earlier, the universe responds to every thought we think. And you know what? Not just responding, it will orchestrate circumstances to bring your thoughts to pass. And that's why some things happen. You just say, oh, it's just a chance occurrence. Oh, I just ran into something. Oh, this just happened. Yeah, on the face of it, it just happens. But that's been an orchestration of the universe to bring things to pass. So we are learning to put the things we want to come to pass into motion with our thoughts, with what we think. And we know as much as we think the positive things and they create positive outcomes, same with the negative. The negative energy attracts similar negative vibrations. So we are wanting to know how to get rid of this stinking thinking. For example, I give you an example. If someone constantly thinks, I am unworthy of love, because you've had an experience and you begin to think that way, or I don't trust people, they may inadvertently push away positive and loving relationship. When you always think about this, oh, you're unworthy of love, what you're consciously feeding the universe is that you are not worthy of love, and you push that away. And good relationship that may come to you, you push it away with those thoughts. Again, another example, if someone constantly worries about financial scarcity, I mean, you're just filled with lack consciousness. You believe you will never have enough money for anything. Then you know what you do? You perpetuate financial difficulties in your life. And for any of these things we face or we go through, we on our own can get the requisite, proper, or appropriate affirmation to destroy those negative thoughts. I know Dr. Greg will often say, we are supplied and supported. I am supplied and supported. You can say that until you begin to feel it. You know when you feel it. Begin to feed it, feel it. Feel those thoughts. I am supplied and supported. In this situation, only good can come. I am supplied and supported. Say it until you feel it. And you know what? You're sending prosperity messages to the universe. And the universe is very good at one thing. It will respond. It will definitely respond. Its timing is impeccable. It's perfect. It will respond. It is said that somewhat natural, I mean, people naturally just drift to negative things. That is natural. Yes, that is what we hear people say. But natural, you know why that is natural? It's natural because we've been socialized with those ideas. We've learned a lot of things. We learned how to judge ourselves. I mean, we grew up seeing these things. Oh, it's not done this way. Once you do this, you have this outcome. This person never succeeds. Once you go this way, he never succeed. We've grown with those negative things and environments. So we just naturally flow towards there. And we really want to let go of a lot of our need to be critical of ourselves and others. I mean, from where I grew up, there are certain things they say, oh, nobody from this area makes it in life. Or if anybody grows up to 40, they die. And people come and they grew up with this. So even the ones that are approaching that age or certain level, they begin to feed those thoughts unconsciously. Oh, nobody lives up to 60 years in this family or this area. And when anybody gets to that age, they begin to feed those thoughts and begin to get fearful. And the whole thing will engulf your being. And you're feeding those thoughts, the universe will respond to it. So we are wanting to know that we have power to change everything. We want to live our life and expand our horizon. There's always much to do with ourselves and at home, so to speak. And you will again hear Dr. Greg or some other practitioners saying it's a full-time work. They're working on ourselves, on yourself. You take the time. First of all, we'll say love your neighbor as yourself. First of all, have to love yourself. It's a time, it takes work to work on yourself. Check those tendencies, check your thoughts, and begin to change every of those thoughts that are not life-giving. Louise suggested the same. When you really love yourself, you will lift your consciousness up to a place where you help the world at large. It starts with you, it starts with me. So we know through our lessons that we have this awesome power within us, and it responds. It has to respond. It responds to you. It responds to me. It responds to every thought that we think. So we can apply this power to change all and every A-N-T, automatic negative thoughts. We can change those thoughts. Most of us, some of us, as I'm talking, we have a bunch of them, and we want to become aware of it. There's something these lessons and classes talk about. A few weeks, or last week or 2 weeks, Dr. Greg, we talked about inventory. You know, when you take the time to do an inventory of yourself, it puts those positives and negatives before you. Oh, this time, maybe I slept with this in mind, and this is the result of those thoughts. And you write it down, and you begin to know how to work to erase those negative thoughts. It's clear, it can be very scientific. Oh, I mean, I slept with the thought of something, and I found that I was dreaming about it all through the night. So what if you consciously Feed yourself with positive things, nice meditation, things that lift you up before you sleep. You will sleep very well, soundly, and you have thoughts that are prosperous. So we always want to consciously, intentionally demonstrate positive thoughts, demonstrate successful living in every area of our life. One thing that inventory would do for us again is that if you know those things that you want to grow, give life in your life, you put it up and you're constantly looking at it, feeding those thoughts. I have some on my mirror. I have dreams, aspirations, targets, and things I want to do. I have my statement, my word for the year, and I'm constantly prophesying it. I'm constantly declaring it. I'm constantly speaking it into being. Whether consciously or unconsciously, I wake up, even when I don't declare it out to my hearing, I look at it. Oh, remember, this is this. So consciously within the day or within the month or period, quarter, anything that would not lead to that, I don't concentrate on that because I'm wanting to be focused. And we have come to realize that we are the ones that have in so many ways held ourselves back. This is very clear because sometimes it's either our action or inaction that is holding us down. And we're knowing that our thoughts will lead to actions, and we can feed the thoughts that we want. We want to change self-defeating language that limits our ability to feel motivated and productive. This is very, very, very important. I can't say this enough. Self-defeating language. Oh, how is it today? Oh, I'm dead. What's happening to you? Oh, this is the worst thing that's, things that are not life-giving. What are we declaring with our mouth? What are we saying? If you don't have anything good or lifting to say, we can just say all is well. Everything is working out. Don't feed those thoughts. Don't give the universe negative things to respond to. Our words are powerful. We also have said this in the lesson in the past. What are you saying? I will be well. I am well. I am perfect. Be now. Let our statements be a statement of authority and power and truth. And in the moment, it's not going to be well. It is well now. You declare it. I'm whole and complete. I am supplied and supported. You declare it in the noun. Because there is power being in the moment, enormous power. And we are also knowing through this teaching that the universe responds to what we say, what you declare. So we are through this to know that we'll be mindful of our language. Every self-defeating language, we know it's not working for us. We nip it in the bud and throw it away. Just notice wherever you find yourself being critical, that's a good place to start. When you have the resistance, quickly just get an affirmation to get that off. Critical of yourself, critical of others. We know life is unfolding perfectly. Again, this is a statement of faith and trust. In other words, it may not happen the time and when and the way you want it, but you know it's unfolding perfectly. So we intend to trust that unfoldment more and stay focused on what needs to be changed in us. There is an old adage that feelings follow our thoughts. Yes. You begin to feel well. These are just very, very practical things. If you come in a time, even when you're feeling down, and you start declaring to yourself, I'm blessed, I'm prosperous, I have everything I need. I begin to speak positive things to yourself. Give yourself a matter of time. You will be surprised where the surge of energy would come from. It happens. You may try it. So the feelings follow our thoughts. So if you also start declaring negative things to yourself, all of a sudden, you're gloomy, you're down, you feel sick, and you're wondering where it's coming from. The feelings is as a result of your thoughts. So we have power to do this. We can do it. That is also why we ask always. That is an integral part of tomorrow's lesson. We always, what has it been like being you? We are not wanting to hear the stories, no. We always talk about the tendencies of the thoughts, of your thoughts, because they are powerful, they are creative. If we are able to identify the way our hearts, our thoughts are going, if the thoughts are becoming down, low, negative, oh, this is not what I want. We've also heard in these classes where some people, you just hear them. You might be with them, they will just say, get out. They're trying to get off those negative thoughts out. Some will say, next page, next. They're trying to rechannel their thoughts because they don't want to feed that negative thought. This is them in mind trying to get rid of negative thoughts. They don't want to feed it. Next page, next door. So this is something we do, is the work we do, is a practice. And why is this so important? We know and we understand that the issues of life emanate from the heart. It emanates from our thoughts, our inner discussion. But again, that is what we do, and we know through this teaching that we have the power to do what? To stop it. We have the power to stop it. We have the power to nip it in the bud. We have the power to redirect those thoughts. And through the many avenues we often talk, we can do this. We say that we can begin to do positive self-talks. We can do affirmations. We can change our location and things that we listen to. We listen to things that are comedy, things that will make you laugh. There's comedy, things that make you laugh. You know what it does? It's not just that it's a physical, spiritual exercise. It affects the body. Those things it releases endorphins that makes you relax. You just relax, that you're taking a sedative. Those are the things that the body, through the neurotransmitters, will release, and it will just relax you naturally. And we also learn to catch ourselves and stop those negative things. The scripture says that as a person thinks in their mind, so they are. Who you are is a result of what you think. Clearly stated. Nothing just happens. Example, it says also, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So again, it starts from the heart, the mind. And what does this bring to fore? The power of the mind, the power of your thoughts. What you are is a reflection of your thoughts. We are the totality of what our mind is. So if it's filled with stinking thinking, then we give birth to stinking outputs. It's an input and input and output thing. I have a story here about these our thoughts and how how creative it can be. It's about the story of the two wolves. And I read the story. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled in deep wilderness, an elder was sitting around the campfire with a group of young children. The children were curious and eager to learn from the wise elder, who was known for sharing profound wisdom and life lessons. On this particular evening, the elder began to tell the story of the two wolves. He spoke with a calm and soothing voice, capturing the attention of everyone around the campfire. In each of us, the elder says, there are two wolves constantly at war with each other. One is a black wolf representing darkness, anger, fear, greed, envy, and despair. The other is a white wolf symbolizing light, joy, love, compassion, and hope. The children listened intently, captivated by the tale. They could sense the significance of the story, even though it was unfolding in a mythical setting. The two wolves fight endlessly, continued the elder, seeking control over our thoughts, emotions, and actions. The battle inside us every day, striving for dominance. One of the children raised their hand and asked, Elder, which wolf wins the fight? The elder paused to look at the children and smiled. The wolf that wins, he said, is the one you feed. The children were puzzled and intrigued by the response. They wondered what it meant to feed a wolf. The choices you make in life, the elder explained, determine which wolf you are feeding. When you nurture anger, hatred, and negativity, you are feeding the black wolf, allowing it to grow stronger. But when you embrace kindness, compassion, and positivity, you are feeding the white wolf, empowering it to overcome the darkness. He continued, it is a constant battle within each of us. The thoughts you choose or the wolf you choose to feed will ultimately shape your life. The children were deep in thought, reflecting on the wisdom shared by the elder. This is just a clear example or a nutshell, good story to summarize what I have been talking about. We have these thoughts within us always. Which one are we feeding? And we have the capability to feed it. Just like a plant, you water it and you give it nutrients, fertilizer, and it grows. That is the way it is with the thoughts. The thoughts that we have, the wolf that we are feeding. And we learn from this teaching to say no to every negative, no to fear, no to everything negative. When we say yes to fear, you know what we are doing? We are saying no to meaningful life. That's what it means. With fear, we say no to everything that is bright and beautiful. When we say no, we are saying no. When we say no, we are also stopping every growth and expansion. But we are knowing constantly that we have the power to change this direction, these thoughts. Somewhere again in the scriptures, we're told to guard our heart, for everything we do flows from it. These words are the words of King Solomon to emphasize the importance of protecting our innermost being. Guarding our hearts is about protecting ourselves from everything that we don't want, because once the heart, the mind receives this thing, it has the capacity, the capability to grow. It's like a soil. Something has been planted, but we are also understanding and knowing that any of these things, we can nip it in the bud. A New Thought teacher said, we are the authors of our own experience. So we have that power. We can create what we want. Thinking usually starts with a trigger of criticism. Some remarks that are negative, nasty remarks, unproductive thoughts, followed by a negative emotional response. I mean, if we do an inventory properly, we will know that when these things come on in our situation. And I'll give some examples of these common thinking errors. People who make mistakes are losers. I made a mistake, so I'm a loser. Terrible conclusion. I know he or she hates me, and you begin to go with that thought. No matter what I do, he or she will always hate me. I failed at this relationship. I'm going to fail at every relationship I try. Therapy won't work for me. It's not just for me. If only I'd been walking that day, turned left or turned right, or looked up or looked right, or done it a little faster, a little slower, and you fill up the space, that thing wouldn't have happened. I would have escaped this. This wouldn't have happened. These are things that we'll just say, and we'll get into that spiral downward roll. I'll lose my job, I can't pay my mortgage, and this would happen, and that would happen, and I'll begin to feed those thoughts. And we know that when these things happen, with inventory, we can know when to stop that stinking thinking spiral downward roll. Yes, we can. We can capture our thoughts. We can challenge everything that is not working for our own good. You may ask yourself, how has this line of thought helped me? It wouldn't have helped you anything. To create sicknesses, to create situations, you begin to become sick or create bad occurrences. Will change your thoughts to something more life-giving. Even if you can't generate it within yourself, tune up something interesting. Watch a movie, watch a comedy, put some music, change your location, move around, get some fresh air, move in nature. I'll just briefly talk about some things to change some of those thoughts, thinking, talk. You can start your day with positive, relaxing activities. You can consciously avoid areas that give you those negative thoughts. Self-talk is the one I do a lot. I'm working, maybe I'm getting off work, I begin to declare, say the things that I want. I mean, in my mind, I'm doing a restatement. I begin to restate, oh, this happened, this is not who I am, this is not what I want. I begin to declare what I want into being. If I'm alone, I say it a little louder. Self-talk. I mean, those are things that it stimulates a lot of things, the brain and everything, it stimulates you. And we're knowing that we're the most important person in our world, and we need to change ourselves before we can affect others. There's also power in repetition. You begin to say things, say it often, and before you know it, you begin to feel it. I mean, this is one we often say, I love, accept, and approve of myself. Possibly the first time you say it, it may not mean anything. Keep saying it. I love, accept, and approve of myself just the way I am. We can change our lens. Do not be a fault finder. Always be out to see the good in every situation. Find the good in things and in people. And when you start doing that, you just find out automatically that you just get used to seeing the good. Oh, it's like this. Oh, I'm not seeing that. I'm only seeing that, oh, he has this, or she has this, or this is good, or this is beautiful. Or you just see the good. And when you see the good, it fits also your being, and you're creating positive outcomes. This one says, the healthiest of all emotions is gratitude. It is very easy to let one negative encounter on an aspect of our life or work that is not working in our favor to influence everything else. We can do a gratitude list. We talk about this often. You can think of one thing that you are grateful for at least at the beginning of each day. I like this one. And for every reason that you find to be miserable, I guarantee you can find at least 2 to 3 to celebrate. You just need to look. Simple. For every reason you find to be sad, to be angry, you would always find 2, 3, or more reasons to be grateful. And this is a very powerful way of getting ourselves rid of every negative, stinking thinking, and so many other things that we don't want in our life. So thank you so very much for being part of this class. And we are knowing that our thoughts are powerful, they are creative. And it's a work we do, it's something we do often. We constantly have to rid ourselves of the stinking thinking that taking us nowhere. And we are knowing through this teaching how to replace those negative thoughts with thoughts that are good, because thoughts are seeds and they can grow.